it sucks. But I'll dive deeper. There's two things in this world that I fear: throwing up and jumping out of airplanes. And I got to do one of them for a living. And the other one I almost do every single time. Airborne units date back to 1942 during the Second World War. So it's more of a tradition now today that we uphold and honor kind of the guys before us. We have like museums, we have different scenarios that we kind of play out. So that's really what airborne units are about. Dude, jumping out of planes is terrible for your body. Your back, your knees, your neck, everything. I got so many stories, but today we're just going to cover like an average jump from start to end. So you get told we got a jump coming up on, Thursday. You're on the roster. Now you got to do a 3-step process. It's called IMC, FMC, and pre-jump. IMC is initial manifest call. It's basically you show up on a field early. If you're jumping at, let's say you're jumping at 5 p.m. IMC is at 9 a.m. It takes a whole day. So you show up at 9 a.m., right, with you show up with like your cat card and something else. Your cat card and your dog tags, and then just go down the roster. All right, here's the sequence on the bird, who's jumping first, who's jumping last, and all this other stuff. And then just kind of count you off, make sure you're here. All right, cool, you're good to go. So now you'll just go to work, do your work stuff, and then they have FMC, which is a few hours later. And FMC is a little worse. You show up with because you'll always do combat jumps. You'll never do Hollywood jumps. That's just the way it is. And you'll show up with your ruck all rigged up. That alone is a process. And your cat card and your dog tags and all that other stuff. And then after they do that, you now go through this little sequence of you basically do a mock jump. What it's like to jump out of an airplane. You jumped. Whoo! And now you like do your canopy. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's so boring. It's so repetitive. You're standing there with your helmet on. You know, the jump master is the guy that's spilling all this information to you that you've heard a million times already. And he's saying what it's like to stand up in the plane. You hook up in the plane. You jump out of the plane. You fix your canopy if it's all messed up, which is your parachute. And then how to land and packing it up when you land. It takes forever. It's literally the whole day. And then after you do that, you get on the buses and they drive you to this, little airport thing where the planes come in. And then you get there and then you kind of go to where your plane's designated area is and you kind of sit on these benches. And then you sit there. You just sit there. That's it. And then you do this thing called pre-jump. As you can tell, this is just a very long, drawn-out sequence here. Then you do pre-jump, which is the same thing as FMC, except without the counting. And now you're actually hooking up to these fake airplane layouts, and you're doing the whole sequence, and it's just like muscle memory at that point, right? They do it so that you don't have to think about it, and you just do it like muscle memory. That's why they do it. Sucks. So that's boring. And then you get done with that. It's like, all right, well, the plane isn't, here. We're not boarding the plane for another however many hours. So we're just sitting there. You sit there, you're waiting around. And if you're me, you're kind of just anticipating getting on a plane again. I don't like heights. I don't like jumping out. I'm nauseous. It's just all these things that are happening. And then finally, they're like, all right, rig up. You start rigging up, getting your chute on. It's heavy. You got to put your ruck on. I'm skipping a lot of this, right? And then you putting all this stuff on. It sucks. And then you walk out to the plane. You can't walk like a normal person because you got the hoops strapped to the back of your legs, and then you got your ruck hanging over your legs. So you can't take regular steps. You got to wobble. That sucks. Long story short, get to the plane. You're in the plane, right? And now you're hoping that they're not calling for evasive maneuvers. I've had to do it once. And when they do that, they're handing out these little yellow bags. You're like, what the hell? What are these? They're called sick bags. Because what's going to happen is that the pilot needs to practice evasive maneuvers in case he's getting shot by jets. So he's got to do all this stuff with the plane. I'm not bullshitting you. My hand that just did that's not me exaggerating. That's exactly what happens. And I did an evasive maneuver flight for 2 fucking hours. What the fuck? Luckily for me, my last 5 jumps or so, I discovered this thing called Dramamine, and it kind of puts me out of it, and I get tired, but it's like anti-nausea medication for motion sickness and stuff like that. Once that's complete, now it's the anticipation time starts. The doors open up, and it's loud. Whoa, it's loud. They're looking out, making sure there's nothing on the plane so that we can jump out safely, and you're just sitting there, just shitting yourself. It sucks. It ain't fun because most of the time you'll be jumping at nighttime and you can't see shit. And you're sitting there with your ruck. You're uncomfortable. It's packed, dude. You're literally sardines in a can. You're sitting there, right? And then they finally, after the last, I think it's like 10 minutes, it's been a while. They're like, all right, outborn personnel stand up. And they're doing this whole thing. There's so many videos on YouTube you should watch. You get up. You got to get up. You got to put your seat up. You got to do all this stuff, and you cannot mess up. People have lost their lives doing this stuff. Lost lives, limbs, everything. So you got to pay attention while being scared of shit. So you get there, you stand up, you hook up, you're checking yourself, right? You're doing all that stuff. You got to check your partner, and you're like, all right, you're good. And my heart's pounding just thinking about this, right? So, and then they give it the check. There's a jump master that comes by, checks everybody's lines, makes sure there's no loops or nothing like that. And then when he gets to the end, he's checked everybody, you're good to go. He'll smack you in the ass, and then that person behind you will smack you in the ass. And then you guys smack the guy in front of you or girl in front of you in the ass. Now that you do that, they get ready. They're doing their last checks at the door. They're looking, everything's good. And then they'll go 1 minute. So that means you got 1 minute, and then everybody's jumping off the fucking plane. And then you go 1 minute. And you go, 1 minute, and everybody yells it back, and then he goes, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. And at this point, I'm scared as shit. There's videos of me out there just screaming out there like a little bitch. And my heart's pounding. Oh, fuck. But when I hear 30 seconds, I start getting mad, boy. I start turning it up. Something happens. I say, come on, you bitch. I'm cussing like crazy. I probably can't say it on YouTube. I'm cussing. Come on, you pussy. Let's get it. And I'm not talking shit to nobody. It's just the jump. I'm just talking shit to the jump, and I'm going, whoa, I'm faking it. I'm like, come on. I'm getting mad because I'm so scared, and I know I got to do it. Just turn it on, baby. And then they're like, green light, go. And they'll smack the first dude in the ass, and he'll jump out, and then you got to walk towards, the front of the plane. And remember, you can't walk, so you're like wobbling towards the front of the plane, or the back, or the door, right? And you get there, you hand it off to the guy, he swipes it back, you take a pivot to your left or your right, and you jump out. And when you jump out, all you hear is wind. Holy shit! Through your ears, right? You got to tuck your head because your chute's going to be auto-deploying right here. So you jump out, you tuck your head, your legs straight. And then you'll kind of do this in the air, right? You'll do this. And then you'll hear it, you'll feel it eject from the chute, and then it kind of yanks you up a little bit. And once it yanks you up, you immediately want to check your canopy to make sure it's not messed up. So you want to twist, but a lot of times it gets kind of tangled up. So you pull back, you'll kick your feet like a bicycle, and then you want to make sure that it's all done. And you'll feel it. You'll be twisting. You'll be going around in circles. And then once it's done and it's straight, you'll feel it. And you'll stop spinning. And you want to look up. Make sure everything's good to go. There's no holes. There's no nothing in the parachute. And then once that's done, okay. Now here's the part where a lot of people get hurt. It's the landing. If you're doing it in the daytime, it's a little easier, but at nighttime, you can't really see the ground. So you'll have to judge the loom in the sky with the tree line. And once you get to the tree line, that's how you kind of know that you're almost done, falling, what you have to do is you have to unhook your ruck. Once you get level with the tree line, drop that. And once you hear that's your ruck hitting the ground, that's how you know you're about 100, 200 meters above the ground. Prepare for impact.
Ah, shit, my ass!
You'll hit the ground pretty hard. These parachutes are designed so that you fall to the ground fast, but not too fast, because we don't want you to die. We just want you to break something. You don't have a lot of hang time in the sky so that potential enemies can see that you were falling to the ground. And this is what they did back in the day. So badass, dude. They flew planes in behind enemy lines, dropped dudes in. They're like, what the fuck? Then you hit the ground. You'll get hurt a little bit. You fall pretty hard. Bam! You hit the ground, and after that, you're done. Your jump is complete. You're safe. You're alive. You're all good to go. And that's a jump complete. Now you actually start your mission after you do all that. Sometimes it's just a 15-mile ruck back to the company. Sometimes it's a 7-day field event. So have fun. I've heard a lot of bad stories how a sergeant major actually dropped, probably 50 yards next to me, and both of his femur bones went through his knees. If you want to hear more military stories, what it's like to be in the military, I've done a lot of different things in the military. If you want to hear some story, I got so many stories, dude. People getting hurt, just all kinds of crazy events, like what the hell just happened? So much like BS, like what goes on in the military. Like there's a lot of stuff that I could cover. So if you want to see more of that, let me know. I hope this kind of clears up anybody that wants to join or is thinking about joining or has joined and has stories kind of relating to this. Feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.
Woo! Made it. I ain't dead yet.